Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening, Toastmasters, and Jane and Glenn, good to have you with us. Tonight, I want to take you on a trip with me. We're going to go from Wheaton to the Chicago Symphony, Weimar, Germany, and we're going to come back to Wheaton. And this speech I titled, Stepping Outside Your Comfort Zone. It's really my wife's speech, Sally, but she gave me permission to tell it. So come with me. Think of this, it's a hot, muggy Wheaton day, like we've had this last week. High humidity. My wife is shopping at Stone's Jewelers. That's before I took her credit cards away. She comes out of the store on Front Street, and she looks down and she sees this woman walking towards her. The woman's about 5 foot, maybe 98 pounds, soaking wet, elderly, in her 70s. Not a handsome woman, but nicely dressed, and she's carrying 2 heavy bags of groceries. And so Sally stops her and said, you know, this is too hot for you to walk. She said, do you live in the area? And the woman said, yes, I live over in West Street. And Sally said, well, let me drive you. And the woman said, that would be nice. So Sally put her in the car, put her groceries in the car, and she takes her over to West Street, and she lives upstairs in one of these little boxy houses. So Sally helps her with the groceries upstairs, and the woman said, my name is Charlotte Quinzel. And she said, I'm from Weimar, Germany. And she said, my friends call me Shari. And she said, you may call me Shari. And she said, would you stay for some iced tea and cake? And if you know Sally, yes, she'll stay and talk. So they started a relationship. And Sally went back about once a week and met with Shari. And Sally came home to me and she said, Dan, you've got to meet this woman. She is so interesting. Let's invite her over for dinner. And I said, yeah, let's do that. So Shari came for dinner. I started talking with her. And I said, why did you come here from Germany? She says, well, my father was head flutist at the Chicago Symphony. And like an idiot, I said, well, what was his job? She said, he's head flutist at the Chicago Symphony. That was his full-time job. And I said, well, Shari, tell me about it. She said, well, my father was head flutist in the Berlin Symphony, and he came over here in 1900 to audition for the Chicago Symphony, and he accepted the job. And he brought recommendations from several of the conductors from Europe, and then he brought his wife over and 2 children. Shari was about 2 years old, and she had an older sister about 4. And so they settled on the south side of Chicago. And I said, Shari, what was your life like? She said, oh, it was wonderful. She said, when they performed, they never ate dinner before. They always ate dinner after the concert. So she said, we were always having dinners at like 10 o'clock at night. And she said, people would drop in, musicians, artists, and she said, it was marvelous. She said, I got to travel with the symphony orchestra. And she said, summers were really great. We summered down near the Indiana Dunes for the whole summer. And she said, life was really, really great. Well, as we got to know Shari, she abruptly moved in with the Gammons. Now, who are the Gammons? Okay, there are 2 Gammons. There was Papa Gammon, he was 98 years old, and his wife had died, and he was twice mayor of Wheaton, 2 different segments in the 40s and the 50s. Have you heard of Gammon Road? If you go to the Methodist Church, Gammon Hall, down below. And Papa Gammon lived with his son John, and John was a retired banker from the First National Bank. And he had never married, and he was a bachelor. And so that we called them the Gammon Boys. And so Shari moved in with them because John found out that she had no more money. And John Gammon, when he was at First National Bank, handled all of their banking while they were in Germany and when Shari came back. So he knew Shari from, 50 years. So Shari moves in with the Gammon Boys. Well, now when we invite Shari, the Gammons had no relatives. John was a bachelor. And so we had to invite the Gammon Boys. And they were interesting. Their house is right across the park from the band shelter. And so we used to go down there on Thursday nights and sit on the front porch with John and Papa Gammon. And John loved martinis. And Shari had a secret formula that John gave her. How can you have a formula for martinis? There's nothing really to mix. So we would get down there and we'd have ice cold martinis, only allowed 2, and listen to the band. Well, John and Papa Gammon and Shari, they started coming to our house for holidays. They started coming for birthdays. My children's grandparents were back in Pennsylvania. And so these three people became really grandfathers and mothers to my children. I'll share one story with you that I think was really funny. Both of my children are born on March 23rd. I'm a very methodical engineer. They were strictly by accident. So it's March 23rd. It's a cold, windy day. My children are probably about 11 and 9, and we invite Papa Gammon and Shari to come over for a birthday. Shari says, I'll bring the cake. Well, John had a 15-year-old Buick. I don't remember what year it was, but it was like had 10,000 miles on it, and it was his pet, never driven out of the garage. It's March 23rd, it's cold, they have the top down, and I look out and I see him coming around the corner. I almost fell on the floor laughing. John was driving. He had like a PCAP on. He had about 5 scarves on, and next to him was 98-year-old, shriveled, I hate to say it, but he was, Papa Gammon. And he had one of those Eskimo hats on, the flaps down, hysterical. And then Shari was in the back seat in the middle, and she was sitting there prim and proper like a German girl. And she had the cake on her lap. They came in, and I think it took us 10 minutes to get all their clothes off. They had layer after layer after layer. So typical birthday party, we have dinner, it's time for the cake. So Shari gets up, she puts candles on the cake, we sing happy birthday, go through that, and Shari said, let me cut the cake. And so she cut the cake, and she gave Scott first a piece, and Sheila, Sheila, they were the guests of honor, their birthdays. And so Scott's next to me, and he's eating his cake, and he said, Dad, there's something in my cake. And Shari said, oh, well, Scott, why don't you dig it out and show us what's in there? So Scott dug it out, and it was a little piece of tin foil about this big, about this high. And Shari said, unwrap it. So Scott unwrapped it. It was a quarter. Hey, in 1980, quarters were a lot of money. But their tradition in Germany, Shari's, was you bake cakes with coins inside. And so that was really, really fun for us.